One of the things I talk about on The Retired Engineer is my sci-fi novel writing. So I'm currently releasing a book that I first finished 25 years ago as a trilogy, The Sea of Suns. The second book, A Far Country, is just up on KDP and on Kindle. It went up 48 hours ago, should be available pretty soon. The book one, Stranded in the Stars, was published back in March. This was the first novel that I ever finished and did some editing and even tried to sell. It's one story, 48,000 words, which, just to give you some context, that's the length, roughly the length of The Lord of the Rings. So it's a pretty big book. I finished that in 2001. So 25 years from done to published, and here's why that happened. If you'd like to hear more about sci-fi, engineering, and the world that we live in, please hit that like button and the subscribe. And if you have any comments, I do check on them and try and answer where I can. So thank you. So the project, the Sea of Suns is what I consider to be hard science fiction. That is, the physics have to work in a consistent way. The world has to be believable in a social, political, and kind of economic context. These are things I care about, and that I try to write believably about. So it was one story written as a whole. I never thought about it as a trilogy. It just kind of kept on growing and started, had a middle, and came to an end. It wasn't planned as a trilogy, so 48,000 words as one whole thing. So I wasn't writing it from the sense of having a plot or having some target size or anything. I very much write from creating a world, a characters, a physics, and then creating the story around the people and the place and the general plot. So it grew. It had a lot of legs, and it ran on all of them. So today I am working through it, chopping it into manageable hunks and putting it out there. So, why did it sit for 25 years? Well, number one, I hate editing. I have written a number of novels. I have quite a few that I never finished, but I also finished some and never published them. And my main issue is I hate editing, right? So if it got too onerous or I needed to do too much, often it got dropped as a project because I enjoy the writing and I do it for relaxation. As a project engineer, project manager, I often need relaxation. I don't need more stress of editing. So 48,000 words in one block before e-publishing was really not a thing. I did actually package it up and send it to a number of publishers and got it returned. Usually we're unread. I did get a couple of comments that it couldn't be that long, and suggestions to write shorter pieces, which I did, and those I have published. So, but the reality is, the other issue is it good enough? It was my first novel. And so there's always a level of uncertainty. Is it good enough? So I kept moving forward and just not really doing anything with the Sea of Suns. So today, I'm a couple of million words further on in my writing career, and so I'm pretty confident that it is good enough. And so it's getting published. So, what's the other thing that changed? So the reality is that I'm unretired, so I can structure my own time. And so, it is now I feel like it's worthwhile to do it. And yes, I have other writing projects that I am going to do and finish and whatnot. But this one felt like a big unfinished effort that I needed to work on. So the other thing is KDP, and that is Kindle Direct Publishing, has always been something I figured I really needed to take advantage of. I had done e-publishing on other platforms, and they don't have the same reach that Kindle does. So, with all of that, then I really have a place to put this. The other key element is AI, modern AI. I don't use a chatbot. I use Claude, Cowork, and with some structure around it to do the editing, so that it works as an adjunct, not as a just chat partner. Though, they're all chats to a certain degree, and it can be pretty amusing and fun and informative to work with them. And so editing became something that's fun and that I can do and move forward smoothly with. Unlike in the old days where it was either me or I had to hand it off to somebody else who would do things to it that I might not agree with. They might be right, but I often feel that my opinion is better on these kinds of things than somebody else's, because I know what my intent was. And it really stopped being, is it good enough? I've read it a couple of times. I actually enjoy reading my own writing. I felt that it was a great story, and I shouldn't leave it in the drawer forever, particularly now I had an opportunity. So what have I been revising? Well, tech blips for one. This story takes place in two realms. One, Earth, relatively today, or 2001 in the original. And then the other is in what I call the star realm, a distant interstellar empire or of a form. So there were a lot of tech blips, VCRs, the video pages versus real what we have today, the smartphones, that kind of thing. So those are things that I've been trying to take care of. There was a cheat that I built in 2001 to make the story a bit easier for me to write, and I backed that out. So that has caused me to need to rewrite some significant pieces, particularly in the split between book 2 and book 3. And so I'm moving forward with that. There was also a long tangent arc in book 2 that was, all very consistent with the story and whatnot, but it didn't add really to the character's arc or the story arc. It was really a thing of its own. And I pulled that out, and it's going to be published as its own thing, either as a novella or as things on my blog, or both, probably both. So again, because book 3, a lot of it takes place in current world Earth, there are significant geopolitical issues. And then, as I said, there was that cheat that I undid that added some more complexity to the story, which was why I had the cheat originally. But a couple of million words of further practice mean that all of this feels easier today than it did then. And again, with the AI as an adjunct to help with some of the complexities, it's easier today than it was in the past. Easier and more fun. So, and that's what I am after in many ways. So, just as a closeout, hopefully you'll be interested and go look at Kindle and the M.A. Harris, the Sea of Suns Trilogy, Stranded in the Stars out there, and A Far Country should either be out there or coming up. Book 3, which is currently unnamed, is coming out in the next month or so, and the novella probably around the same time. So if you have been watching the channel and didn't realize I wrote sci-fi, so now you know. And hopefully you'll keep watching and listening for more comments on sci-fi, engineering, and the world we live in. Cheers. Have a great day.